In the world of Pokemon, there are a lot of monotype trainers. And I don't just mean the gym leaders like Brock, who I've got on screen now because we'll be using him as an example for this video. I also mean the regular trainer classes. Whether we're talking about in the anime or in the video games, there's a lot of monotype trainers. We see bird keepers, bug catchers, we see dragon tamers, we see hikers, swimmers, these things that mostly carry one type of Pokemon. So why is that? What gives? Why does it seem to be that it's mostly just you and your rivals who actually pick type diverse teams, which of course are better because you can get type advantages by doing that. You can build a balanced team. Why is that? Well, first off, you and your rivals tend to be most of what you see in terms of traveling. The average person is, if you're talking about the kids, they're still living with their parents and they haven't been granted permission as a preteen or a teen to go wander all the way around a region alone and live by camping or staying at Poke Center hostiles or things like that. It's not terribly surprising that a lot of parents haven't granted permission for that because their kids are still living with them and maybe they want their kids to pursue a higher probability future rather than becoming the champion or making it big as a Pokemon trainer. They're saying, hey, help out at the family business or study hard so you can go get a job in the major city that's going on in the region. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So people who do have Pokemon have to work with the Pokemon around their region. And we're looking at Pewter City and Brock, where you have access to Viridian Forest, that's going to be some bug-type Pokemon, the routes, which are going to be field-type Pokemon, so Rattatas, Pidgeys, things like that, and Mount Moon, where you've got the cave-type Pokemon. We know that Brock, just as our example, happened to make Onix his ace, so he was doing his training, his exploring in Mount Moon. Onix was the first serious Pokemon that he started raising there. At some point, he got comfortable in his training of Onix and went, hey, I think I have this under control. I can add another Pokemon to my bench, to my roster. I can handle more than just one. And you and I might think, oh, he should go grab a Weedle that'll turn into a Beedrill, or maybe a Pidgey, get some type diversity in there. That would be good. And yeah, that would be good, but you know what? If you feel like it's a little bit of a reach to add a second Pokemon to your team, something that you have to train, it having a lot of similarities, like Geodude does, to your existing Pokemon probably makes a lot of sense. It's probably going to answer some of those questions like, hey, what does its diet look like? What do we need to do? All those things. This will be easier to raise. So that's less of a reach. And this makes sense. If we take this back to the real world, for example, I can raise cats and dogs. Cats and dogs are no problem for me. I can raise them in such a way where the dogs aren't constantly chasing the cats aren't realizing that the dogs aren't going to constantly chasing them and therefore trying to rile them up or swat them too much with claws or anything like that. These things can be trained to get along. I can do it. That's not anything too special. On the other hand, if you try to ask me to raise hamsters, well, I tried to raise a pair of hamsters once and one killed the other. Oops, that's not so good. If you tried to tell me to raise a lizard or a snake or a spider, yeah, I could probably do that. I could probably figure that out, but it would be different than raising cats or dogs were. Or what if you asked me to raise a dolphin or a shark? Well, I can't do that, at least not without, spending a lot of time figuring it out and changing my lifestyle, but marine biologists absolutely do that in some situations. So that can be done, but what if you ask someone to go, hey, you have to raise a dog, a cat, a dolphin, maybe a monkey. Let's get one of those in there. And hey, let's get ourselves out to 6 here. So we've got 6. So let's also get a tarantula. And maybe then we'll just go with something not too bad. Let's get a boa constrictor in there as well. Well, you might be able to do it, but you'd have to construct your entire life around raising these things. You'd have to get a job that pays the bills, that's flexible enough to allow you to be able to meet the different care needs for each of these things, which are different. Dogs and cats can eat similar things, but they're going to have different portion sizes, and you're going to have to deal with the reality that a cat can really self-regulate how much it eats a lot better than a dog will. A dog will most of the time just keep eating until there's not food or until they're very, very overfilled, whereas a cat will go, okay, I'm full, and stop, and then come back later. So that means you have to handle them a little bit differently. Likewise, you're going to have to figure out, okay, what do I need to do for the dolphin? What sort of premises do I need to have the dolphin here? Oh, the monkey eats something different than the dolphin does. That's not terribly surprising. Oh, don't have to feed the boa constrictor nearly as often. All these things are things that are going to change how you construct this, and it's a lot harder when you mix different types in there like this. So that's really what we're looking at. And if you want me to pivot this over to Pokemon, that's just fine. It's really not very hard to do. We can actually see that Pokemon eat different types of food. Here's Brock offering up some electric Pokemon food for Pikachu. Well, if it's just that simple that you just need type food, if that's all, that's fine. You can just go buy that at the mart, and surely that's not too bad, and hey, that's it. No, there's more to it. They simplify it for us in the games, but the concept is that there would be more to this. If you're raising, for example, a Lapras, do you know, are they okay in saltwater and freshwater? If they are okay in saltwater and freshwater, is there one that they prefer? If they spend a bunch of time in saltwater, should you rinse them off with freshwater when they get out of it? If they're spending most of their time in freshwater, but they're normally a saltwater creature, is that okay? Do you need to supplement them by like giving them extra salt in their diet or something like that? I don't know. If you're using an electric Pokemon like a Maripier, is it better for them to constantly sort of discharge and empty their battery of sorts to not have them build too much up like a normal battery where you'd go, hey, let's drain it all the way and then let's charge it all the way back up? Or is it something where the opposite of a battery, you want to charge it when it is, store it when it is fully charged because maybe that increases their endurance over time? How cold is a Charmander allowed to get or an Infernape allowed to get before it's dangerous to it, as, you know, those specific breeds of Pokemon? Those are tough questions, and the game handholds you to just sort of let you solve that, to just sort of be like, you're special, you're a trainer that gets to go around the world and go around the region and go do all these things, and you figure these things out. And it's simplified for us as, oh, well, you're just battling and you're figuring out how to battle, because doing some of these systems in a game wouldn't necessarily be the most fun thing in the world. But this is really the reason. What you're looking at is, hey, most people are going to be somewhat locked to their region because that's where they have jobs, houses, that sort of thing. They haven't been given permission or a lifestyle or the money to be allowed to go around like this, gambling on themselves to be able to, you know, make enough money continuing through here. And they haven't figured out, because it's hard. It is harder to go from, hey, I'm raising a Bulbasaur, this grass-typed Pokemon, I've got a green thumb, it's working out, to, oh, now I have to also figure out how to raise a Butterfree? Now I have to also figure out how to raise a Psyduck? Those have very different training requirements. And I don't mean training requirements in terms of just fainting the other Pokemon. I mean in terms of what the games represent, what the journeys and the animes, things like that represent, is you have to do different things with them, train them in different ways, care for them in different ways for it to all work. So that's my view on it. That's why I think it's actually reasonable that we see as many monotype trainers as we do in the Pokemon world. But let me know what you think. Do you look at this and say, oh no, that's wild, that doesn't make any sense, it's clearly just about battling, it's clearly just about feeding them different types of food? Or do you look at this and say, okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense, but, you know, what about the Elite Four then? They're supposed to be these great trainers who do make their living off of Pokemon battles, but they're monotypes. How does that figure in? Well, I'll probably have a video on that if there's enough interest in it from this one. But hope you guys enjoyed. If you have, please do drop a like, consider subscribing for more thought-provoking Pokemon content, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks. Temporal out.